morning, this is Rhoda with today's Virus versus Verses. So this past Saturday, there were two prayer-focused events that took place in Washington, D.C. And they estimate that about 50,000 people came together to pray for our nation. With everything that's going on in this country right now, sometimes we can start to feel pretty powerless. And we wonder, well, what can I do? I'm just one person. But as I watched the live stream and prayed along with those who were there, I felt my faith being strengthened. Because our prayers matter. Our voice matters. Our actions matter. God is our deliverer, and God will always be faithful to lead us and to fight on our behalf, and in His perfect timing. And we can see this in the story of Esther from the Bible. God took Esther to the palace and into the favor of the king. Her cousin Mordecai followed her and stationed himself outside the palace at the king's gate so he could make sure she was okay, where he happened to hear an assassination plot against the king. He told Esther, who had Mordecai's report investigated. It was found to be true, and the king's life was saved. Now Haman plotted to destroy all the Jews. And when Mordecai heard about it, he told Esther, because he had learned that his voice matters. He called on Esther to appeal to the king. Mordecai believed that even if Esther wasn't willing to help, that God would provide deliverance in another way. Esther 4:14 says, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish." Esther knew her actions mattered, and she asked the people to gather and to fast for her. Even though the book of Esther doesn't explicitly name either God or prayer, we assume that when she asked the people to fast for her, that involved prayer also. And we can clearly see God at work. And God answered and saved His people. So the timing of Haman's arrival at the king's court couldn't have been more perfect. He had come to ask the king's permission to hang Mordecai from gallows that he had built. But the night before, the king had had trouble sleeping. So he had someone read him a bedtime story. The story of me, the events of his reign. Suddenly, he snapped awake. He said, "Wait, there had been an assassination plot? Well, what did we do for the man who saved my life? Nothing? Well, we need to fix that. Wait, who's that in the outer court? Oh, it's Haman." Esther 6:6. When Haman entered, the king asked him, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Now, Haman thought to himself, "Who is there that the king would rather honor than me?" So he answered the king, "For the man the king delights to honor, have them bring a royal robe the king has worn, and a horse the king has ridden, one with a royal crest placed on its head. Then let the robe and horse be entrusted to one of the king's most noble princes. Let them robe the man the king delights to honor, and lead him on the horse throughout the city streets, proclaiming before him, 'This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor.'" "Go at once," the king commanded Haman. "Get the robe and the horse, and do just as you have suggested for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate. Do not neglect anything you have recommended." So Haman got the robe and the horse. He robed Mordecai and led him on horseback through the city streets, proclaiming before him, "This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor." So it's amazing how God used every bit of Haman's evil plan to turn it back on his own life. Psalm 34:21 says, "Evil will slay the wicked. The foes of the righteous will be condemned." Now, God wasn't taken by surprise by anything that happened. He didn't look down and wring his hands in dismay and say, "What am I going to do?" No, he had a plan. Evil came against his people, and he raised up those who would be faithful to act. Spiritual darkness will try hard to blot out the existence of truth and the power of a believer's life through Christ. But in the end, it won't win. God holds the final victory. May God help us to be willing to pray, fast, wait for his timing and his direction, and then act on the wisdom that he provides. Because God is sovereign over all, and he lovingly cares for his people. Have a wonderful day.